Have you ever felt like you're being controlled by a voice inside your own mind? A voice that paints the worst scenarios, paralyzes your decisions, and feeds your fears until you can no longer distinguish reality from imagination? This voice is not madness, it's not weakness. According to Carl Jung, this voice is a deep reflection of your unconscious, trying to tell you something you haven't yet understood. Today, we will explore what lies behind this anxiety that seems to take on a life of its own and discover what you can actually do when it becomes an uncontrollable presence. Stay with me until the end, because the revelations you'll hear today might forever change the way you see your own mind. If you're new to the Inner Mirror channel, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, comment below, and share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Together, let's dive into knowledge that doesn't just change our view of anxiety, but reveals the key to reclaiming the control of our inner world. Anxiety is not a mistake of the mind. It is not a flaw. It is, as Carl Jung taught, a desperate attempt from the unconscious to draw your attention to something you've been ignoring. What seems like an exaggerated reaction to life's challenges is, in truth, a symptom of something much deeper, a disconnection between who you pretend to be and who you truly are. Jung believed that every symptom carries a message. The problem is that society has trained us to see anxiety as an enemy to be eliminated instead of a voice to be heard. When we try to silence this voice with distractions, addictions, or denial, it doesn't disappear. On the contrary, it becomes more desperate, more intense, more terrifying. But if instead of fighting it, you choose to listen, something extraordinary can happen. You may discover that anxiety is a compass pointing directly toward what needs to be healed. This uncontrollable voice inside your mind is not random. It feeds off everything you've repressed, the choices you didn't make, the feelings you denied, the dreams you abandoned just to fit into molds that were never really yours. And the more you move away from your true essence, the louder that voice becomes. It screams because it must be heard. It becomes uncontrollable because somewhere along the way you became deaf to yourself. Carl Jung said that the greatest tragedy of modern man is to live a surface life, disconnected from his soul. Anxiety is the echo of that inner emptiness. It is the unconscious crying out for rescue. But you can change this. The first step is to recognize anxiety itself is not the problem. The real problem is what hides behind it. What is anxiety trying to show you? Maybe you've spent years building an identity that doesn't represent who you are. Maybe you've followed a life path based on fear, obligation, or other people's expectations. Maybe you've forgotten how to truly listen to yourself. Jung warned about the danger of becoming fully identified with our social mask, the persona. This mask is necessary for us to interact with the world, but when we mistake the mask for our true identity, we lose touch with the self, our real being, and anxiety comes as an urgent signal. You are too far from home. You have forgotten who you are. Throughout this video, we will discover how to begin finding your way back to yourself, how to transform the uncontrollable voice of anxiety into an ally on your journey towards self-knowledge and healing. And, most importantly, how to reclaim your true strength, the one that was buried under years of emotional repression. There is a path. There is a way out. But it requires courage, the courage to face yourself without the masks, the courage to listen to the message behind the pain. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes we will go even deeper into the hidden roots of anxiety and reveal how Carl Jung would guide us to face this voice that seems uncontrollable. What you are about to discover might completely transform the way you understand what is happening inside you. Anxiety often feels like a wild animal trapped inside us, clawing for a way out. But what if I told you that this animal is not trying to destroy you? It's trying to save you. Carl Jung understood that every psychic disturbance, including anxiety, is a sign that the unconscious is attempting to compensate for something the conscious mind refuses to face. Anxiety is not random chaos. It is a message system, a coded language from the depths of your soul. If the conscious mind drifts too far from the inner truth, the unconscious responds by creating pressure, sometimes in the form of panic, dread, or intrusive thoughts. These symptoms are not punishments. They are survival mechanisms. The problem is that most people respond by increasing the distance between themselves and the real issue. They run faster. They numb the pain with distractions, consumption, superficiality. They silence the voice rather than listening, and yet Jung teaches us what you resist persists. Every time you deny the voice of your own soul, it returns louder. Every time you treat the symptom but ignore the cause, the unconscious retaliates with more intensity. So what should you do when the voice of anxiety becomes uncontrollable? First, stop treating it as an enemy. Imagine that voice not as a demon, but as a wounded part of yourself, desperate to be acknowledged. Instead of fighting it, invite it in. Instead of silencing it, ask it, "What are you trying to tell me?" This radical shift from fighting to listening begins to dissolve the uncontrollable power that anxiety seems to have over you. You may find, buried beneath the fear, a grief you never processed, a betrayal you never accepted, a dream you abandoned because someone convinced you it was impossible. Anxiety thrives in the spaces where authenticity has been sacrificed. When you get closer to your true self, the symptoms lose their terror. They no longer appear as random attacks, but as meaningful messages pointing toward parts of you that are crying for integration. Jung would say that healing begins when you dare to descend into yourself. When you make the conscious decision to meet the shadow, the sum of all you've repressed and denied. It is in this dark territory that true transformation happens. The voice that seemed to be your executioner reveals itself as your guide. The panic that once paralyzed you becomes a map to your most profound healing. But be warned, this is not an easy journey. It demands that you abandon the comfortable illusions you built to survive. It demands that you confront pain, regret, fear, and, ultimately, responsibility for your own soul. Jung wrote that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. And yet, it is precisely this confrontation that brings liberation. When you turn toward the voice instead of away from it, when you sit in the storm instead of fleeing, you begin to see that the monster is, in truth, a messenger. Anxiety shows you where your energy is trapped, where your authentic life has been blocked, where yourself is still waiting for you to return. This understanding alone already begins to weaken the uncontrollable voice. It no longer feels like an external force attacking you. It feels like a lost part of you calling you back home. And so I invite you to ask yourself now in full honesty, what is my anxiety trying to tell me? What truth have I been too afraid to face? Where have I abandoned myself in the pursuit of acceptance, safety, or approval? The answers are not outside of you. They have always been within. Anxiety is just the signal you can no longer ignore. Stay with me, because we are only beginning to unlock these mysteries. In the next part, we will explore how Carl Jung's concept of individuation offers a revolutionary path not only to managing anxiety, but to transforming it into a gateway for profound personal growth. The journey inward continues, and what you will learn might forever change the way you live your life. Carl Jung believed that the true purpose of life is not to achieve superficial happiness, but to realize the self. He called this journey individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, beneath all masks, fears, and illusions. And anxiety, though agonizing, can serve as the very catalyst for this journey. When the voice in your mind becomes unbearable, it is often a sign that you are standing at the threshold of transformation. The old structures of your identity are collapsing. The false selves you built to survive are no longer sustainable. The unconscious is no longer content to be ignored. It demands a confrontation. The question is, will you answer the call, or will you continue to run? Individuation is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming whole. It is about integrating the shadow, the dark, denied, and painful aspects of yourself into consciousness. It is about weaving together the broken parts into a single, authentic existence. Anxiety signals that a split exists within you. One part of you clings to old defenses and identities, while another part aches to emerge and live. The battle between these forces plays out as emotional chaos. Jung teaches us that to heal this divide, you must descend voluntarily into your inner world. You must bring light to the darkness. You must dare to face what you fear most, yourself. And this does not happen by accident. It requires intentional practices that anchor you when the voice of anxiety grows deafening. Begin by creating sacred space for self-reflection. Silence external noise. Journal not just about your symptoms, but about your inner life, your dreams, your fears, your secret longings. Ask yourself deeper questions. What part of me am I refusing to acknowledge? What emotion am I most afraid to feel? In what ways am I betraying my own soul? As you explore these questions, you will notice patterns. You will recognize the complexes Jung described, emotional knots formed by past traumas and unresolved experiences. These complexes feed the uncontrollable voice of anxiety. But once you recognize them, you can begin to loosen their grip. You can reclaim your psychic energy, bit by bit. Dreams are another powerful tool Jung emphasized. Pay attention to your dreams. They often contain symbols, metaphors, and clues from the unconscious. Dreams bypass the defenses of the rational mind and offer unfiltered messages about your inner state. If you dream of being chased, trapped, falling, it is not meaningless. Your unconscious is dramatizing the tension between your true self and the life you are currently living. By honoring your dreams, instead of dismissing them, you forge a dialogue with the unconscious. You become an active participant in your own transformation, rather than a passive victim of symptoms. Another essential practice is the cultivation of courage, not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. Every step you take toward self-awareness diminishes the power of anxiety. Because you are no longer running from your soul, you are walking toward it. There is profound dignity in facing what you once feared. There is immeasurable power in choosing authenticity over conformity. There is liberation in saying, I will no longer abandon myself to appease the world. Carl Jung believed that anxiety loses its grip when we align our conscious lives with the truths carried within our unconscious depths. When we live a lie, the soul rebels. When we live our truth, the soul rejoices. Imagine just for a moment what it would feel like to live without this inner war. To no longer be torn between who you are and who you pretend to be. To move through life with a quiet mind and a grounded heart. This is not a fantasy. It is the inevitable fruit of the individuation journey. And even if the path is hard, even if the darkness feels endless at times, remember, every step toward your true self diminishes the power of fear. Every confrontation with your shadow brings you closer to wholeness. You are not broken. You are not doomed. You are being summoned, called back to yourself by the very symptoms you once wished to escape. Stay with me, because in the next part, we will explore the final revelation, how the unbearable voice of anxiety can be alchemized into wisdom, strength, and profound spiritual awakening. The end of this journey is not mere survival, it is transformation. And once you see it, you can never go back to the life of quiet desperation. The voice of anxiety, when left unchecked, can dominate your inner world, leading you to believe that fear and chaos are your natural states. But Carl Jung taught something radically different, that the chaos is not your enemy, it is your unshaped potential. Every overwhelming thought, every wave of dread is raw material. It is the beginning of inner alchemy, the sacred art of transforming suffering into wisdom. When you engage consciously with the anxiety instead of running from it, something extraordinary happens. You begin to notice the deeper truths hidden beneath the noise. Anxiety often arises when your inner life and your outer life are in profound conflict, when the life you live outwardly betrays the deeper longings and needs of your soul, when your actions, your relationships, your ambitions are shaped not by your true nature, but by fear, duty, or survival instincts from a wounded past. This is why confronting anxiety is not just about symptom relief. It is about the rebirth of your authentic self. Jung emphasized that symptoms are meaningful. They are not errors to be erased. They are signals to be decoded. Imagine the voice of anxiety not as a tyrant, but as a forgotten messenger. A part of you that carries ancient knowledge about where you have strayed from your true path. When you listen, when you interpret its symbols and stories, you recover this lost wisdom. You reclaim your own authority over your life. The process is not instantaneous. There will be moments of fear, setbacks, and doubt, but each step you take with courage deepens your roots and strengthens your soul. One day, the voice that once seemed inescapable will change. It will no longer scream in terror. It will whisper insights. It will guide you not through fear, but through intuition. This is the alchemy Jung spoke of, turning lead into gold, transforming raw, painful emotions into conscious awareness, resilience, and a deeper connection to the mystery of existence. You will find that what you feared most was not the darkness within you. It was the immense power waiting to be realized once you dared to enter it. You will find that anxiety was not your enemy. It was the painful contraction before a new birth. And perhaps most important of all, you will realize that the self, the totality of who you are, is far larger, wiser, and more resilient than you ever imagined. Carl Jung believed that each person carries within them a blueprint for their own transformation. Individuation is not about adding something foreign to yourself. It is about uncovering what was always there, hidden beneath layers of fear, conditioning, and unconscious pain. You are not here to live imprisoned by the mistakes and traumas of the past. You are here to awaken, to grow, to evolve. You are here to become fully yourself. Anxiety may have been the alarm clock, but it is not the final word. It is only the beginning of your true story. So the next time the voice rises, overwhelming and fierce, remember this. It is a call, not to panic, not to surrender to despair, but to wake up, to remember who you are beyond fear, to step into the fullness of your being. The journey will ask for everything, but it will give you everything in return. You will not only quiet the anxious mind, you will awaken a soul capable of navigating life with courage, wisdom, and grace. Stay connected to this truth. You are stronger than your fear. You are deeper than your anxiety. You are more infinite than your pain. And if you continue to walk the path of self-discovery, one day you will look back and realize the voice that once terrified you became the bridge that carried you home, home to yourself, home to the life you were always meant to live. Thank you for being here. If this video spoke to your heart, I invite you to subscribe to Inner Mirror, leave a like, comment your experiences, and share this message with those who might need it. Remember, your soul is wiser than your fear, and your healing has already begun. Until next time, keep listening to your inner voice, not the voice of fear, but the voice of truth calling you to rise.